Hello YouTube, this is Loco Diablo. I was been playing Tiny Epic Defender. I just want to give you my last thoughts now that I've gotten done playing it. So again, this was Tiny Epic Defender. This was the game that I had won the review, be able to review. The game is not came out yet. It's not even. It will be on Kickstarter in mid to late June. So be on the lookout for that. This is not just a expansion to Tiny Epic Kingdom, but it is a standalone game. And it can be played one player, it can be played four players. So the fact that you can play it with one player is pretty cool because we don't always have players. And I guess technically you can probably play it in different ways too, because even with two players, I guess two people can take the role of two different characters. So it really kind of works out. And I like the fact that it has a lot of different difficulties. It has a beginner difficulty, an easy difficulty, a medium difficulty, a epic difficulty, and an impossible difficulty. In the beginning, we were playing it at an impossible because, well, we first started playing it on medium just so we understood the rules, and then we started going to impossible because we just found it was too easy, and we barely were losing at it, but it was really working out. So we just kept it at impossible, and then I started playing by myself, and I was losing probably every hand that I was doing at it. It didn't matter if I was playing a beginner and impossible. So there is some luck involved in that. But there's obviously strategy too. I mean, depending on the characters that you play, there's or just the moves that you make. So now, I mean, as a gameplay, I think it's actually pretty fun. Again, probably the coolest part about the gameplay, about the rules, is the fact that you can do it with one player. There's not many games that you can actually play it with one player, and so the fact that you can do this is pretty cool. Now, obviously, the cards are pretty small, and I'm thinking it's probably going to stay small like this. It may be a little bit bigger, but this is tiny. This is Tiny Epic Defender, which is a standalone kind of expansion, but mostly a standalone game to Tiny Epic Kingdoms, which is the game was to use a. It was made to use to be transported, something a game you can fit in your pocket. So I'm assuming that this game is going to be meant to be small too. Now I got some dice. The dice were pretty cool, but the game didn't really use that. So it's just more of a bonus thing. It appears that I got for winning out of like almost 18,000 people I was competing against. So the dice looks like it was more of a promotional device. The button, you know, was promotional device. Pretty cool. I've been showing the button around. People like the button. And then the different types of cards, you know, different types of business cards. You know, different business cards. And then little, I guess, little token cards. I'm not really sure what this is showing, but, you know, pretty cool. So as for the little figures, my thoughts is I wish they were a little more expiring than just color, because I mean, while these are cool to have them like this, you can honestly get away with just having colored too. So I do like the fact that they're little figures, little meeps, versus just a wooden piece. But I would like to see them having like a weapon, or they don't necessarily need to be painted to look like, but I would like to see them, you know, distinguish between. Now I understand because you can have the warrior be yellow, but I think I would prefer if the characters were a little more defined, little meeps were a little more defined than just this. And as for these are good. These are little tokens, but so that's fine. Now as for the actual cards themselves, I know this is just a prototype, so I hope that they're going to be more expiring than just this. I would like to see more to them. Obviously, if you change the meeps, you're gonna have to change the cards too. And so green will have to be like, you know, like the sorcerer or whatever. As for the heroes worked out. Their powers worked out, but I wish that when you use their powers, it also had like a negative effect on another player. So it would, like for instance, it would take health from them, or would move them on the board. I wish they had a little bit of a negative effect. I know this is cooperative, but you know, I kind of wish it would do a little bit of a negative, you know, to that. So, such as, you know, maybe when you heal somebody, as the cleric heals somebody, he has to, like, damage somebody else, or he has to damage himself. Perhaps the, you know, the warlord, when he moves somebody, he also has to move somebody, you know, else clockwise, or move everybody clockwise, or if he goes to the capital, everybody moves clockwise, or something of that nature, you know. And maybe perhaps even being a little more specific, because the way I was playing it, this with the sorcerer, you spend 2 points and you can reduce the threat level by 3. Now, if you're supposed to only do that on the planes that you're standing on, it needs to be more specific. So I kind of took it as it could be anywhere. Also, I like the rules be a little more specific. When a plane has fallen, I don't know if I still can defend it, because you know, I wanted to stand on top of it and defend it, you know, to prevent the damage going to the capital. But I didn't know if you could, so I didn't. So that may have led to a lot of my losses. Is if you can defend it, I wish it would explain that. I haven't really found that on the rules. So the rules, in some ways, the rules can be. I feel the rules need to be defined a little bit better. So that's how I feel about the rules. On what you can do. Sometimes, you know, it's kind of a little bit hard to find stuff on here, even though it's 3 pages, 3 pieces of paper, and, you know, 5 pages. Other than that, it was fairly easy to understand. So the rules are easy to understand, but there's some specific things I would like to see more of on the rules. As for the horde, again, I would like for the cards to be a little more, you know, more to them. But you know, for this most part, looks cool. Just, I guess, put a little more color to it. You know, definitely put some more color than just say the horde on the back. As for the epic, there needs to be more epics. You need to have an epic for every area, and they need to have some sort of rule where if they're not being attacked that round, they do damage to that plane. I didn't see any rule like that, but that's what they should have, and they should be at least an epic on there. And I wouldn't even mind seeing multiple epics playing at the same time. That'd be, you know, something put on impossible. You play against all the epics, all 3 of them. That to me would seem like that would be, you know, would verge for impossible. Now, as for the health for the heroes, I don't really like the fact that when they reach 0, that they're still alive, or it doesn't even necessarily they're still alive, but they can seem to do a lot more. Just the spending health doesn't really, I don't feel, comes up all that often. That's the only thing that they just can't do. They just can't spend health, so that means they can't defend or spend their health for extra actions. And I feel like they need to do a little more. Though not being able to defend is pretty big. You know, that does come up. But I guess I would like to see them having a little more to do with the health. Maybe all they can do, maybe they can't even attack. You know, all they can do is move, and then you have to move them to the capital. Other than that, I mean, I think the game is pretty great, so I would definitely look for it, you know, for Kickstarter this June, or this, you know, towards the end of June. So, this is Local Diablo, reminding you that devil's in the details. Thank you.